I want to talk today a little bit about reversing hive bodies. The question comes about a lot this time of year. When should I go out and reverse my hive bodies? We don't just take a day on a calendar and mark it down and say, this is hive body reversal day. You have to determine for each individual hive if it needs to be reversed or not. Sometimes you'll reverse most of your hives. There's times when you won't reverse any of them. So I'm going to talk about the whole theory behind it and the why and what it does for us as beekeepers and the bees. I'm going to hopefully help you understand and make your own determination if a hive needs to be reversed at that particular time. And I also want to talk about when is a good time to do it, and definitely when is a bad time to do it, because there is a wrong time that you definitely don't want to do this. I have come across some other software online to kind of help me with the videos. I've kind of discovered vector graphics and vector software. Especially for this video where we're not going to be in a bee yard doing a demonstration, I have made up some graphics to help me explain and give you a visual to look at to help you understand what I'm saying. If you really like the vector graphics, please let me know, and I'll make sure I incorporate them in more of my videos. I actually enjoy making them. It kind of helps me exercise my creative brain a little bit. If you don't like them, absolutely let me know. I won't cut them out completely, but I'll go easy on them. At the end of this video, I would like to cross promote a friend of mine channel. He's a car guy. He's very passionate about cars, and he has a YouTube channel, and I'll be posting a link for that down in the description. It's called Talking with Cars, and I'll be talking a little bit more in detail about it and what his channel is all about. In the event that you are done with me or you're bored of me already, just don't forget to fast forward to the end of this video and check out what his channel is all about. I think you'll enjoy it. I know this is a beekeeping channel and farming and agriculture, but I don't think it's far-fetched to assume that there's probably a lot of people in agriculture that are also into cars. So let's get right to it. We'll talk about some bees and a little bit about cars. The reasoning and logic behind reversing hive bodies is swarm prevention. If you think all the way back to summertime and the end of summer approaching fall, you may have noticed that your bees went from working both boxes, and you had a cluster in the bottom and the top box. And then as summer progressed and fall approached, they worked their way down. The queen started utilizing the bottom box more than the top box. The foragers were coming back in, and they were backfilling the emerging brood in the top box. Then when winter hits, all of your bees or the majority of the cluster is in the bottom box, and all of the stores and their resources are up top. That's winter formation. Then as winter progresses, they will work their way up top. They will literally eat their way from the bottom box and work their way up through the hive. And then by the time spring arrives, or pretty close to spring, the majority of your cluster will be in the top box. So now we have to determine if it's a good time to reverse the hive bodies. You perform your first inspection, you get into the bees, and you notice there's no bees in the bottom box. The entire cluster is in the top box. There's no activity in the bottom. There's no eggs, there's no larvae, nothing. And the top box is starting to get crowded. They're building out. She's in spring buildup. There might be burr comb everywhere. It's looking like a mess. There's a lot of drone brood. And, you're getting some signs of maybe some swarming going on. And they have all that wasted space down below. Bees like to work up when in a Langstroth hive, and they don't like overhead pressure. So that would be a situation where you would reverse the hive bodies. You would just simply take that bottom box and put it on top, and the top box would get swapped in the bottom position. So now you have all your brood in that bottom box and all this extra spare real estate for the queen to work her way back up. Now she has no choice to go up into that box and start working the box. All is well. You may get into your hive or a different hive and notice that the majority of the cluster is in top box, but it's not ridiculously crowded. It looks like she has some room, and you see eggs and larvae in the bottom box. That hive is not something that would really set up any alarms. It's not something that you would want to reverse anyway, and we'll we'll get into that in a second. Your next scenario would be you get into your hive, and the majority of the cluster or half the cluster is in the top box, and the bottom box has just capped brood, and the top box, it looks like they're getting a little bit crowded. That is a situation where you're not going to want to reverse those hive bodies, because what you're going to do is split your brood nest. And since it is early spring and you can still get some cold nights, you're now creating two separate brood nests that need to be warmed. And the bees may not be able to do that. Picture the hive as one big box, and you have like a big volleyball in the middle. And now you go and swap those boxes. The bottom box is now going to have half of the cluster at the bottom of that box. The top box is going to have half the cluster in the top of it, creating this big space in the middle. If it gets so cold and the bees can't warm both clusters, they may very well abandon one of them, and you've just lost all of that brood. So that is a situation where you definitely do not want to reverse your hive bodies. If they are running out of room up top and there's a lot of drone brood and they're not utilizing a good portion of that bottom box, it's still a troublesome hive, and that's when we get into hive equalization. And that's another video that we're going to talk about. I've mentioned that back in the past in one of my videos about just general inspections. The next video will be hive equalization, because that is the next step in beekeeping. So I'm sure some of you folks out there in the ag world are into cars and are car enthusiasts. So let's talk cars. I have nothing to offer because I'm not a car enthusiast. However, thankfully, my buddy Rob is, and he has a really cool YouTube channel called Talking with Cars. He talks about everything automotive. He gets to travel a bit, and he's got some videos of some car shows that he's been to and some really interesting people that he's gotten to chat with about cars. He demonstrates some projects and repairs in his own garage and what he's got going on in his shop. And he does product reviews, which I will be finding extremely useful starting probably tonight. I noticed that he has some foam cannon reviews on there, and I wasn't even familiar with foam cannons until I saw his channel. And I'm going to be watching those in detail because I don't know if you noticed, but my tractor is filthy. And I have an interview with the newspaper in the near future, and I'd like to get her cleaned up a little bit at least. So if you find any value in his channel, please like and subscribe. He's a really good dude. And speaking of liking and subscribing, if you get value from my videos, please subscribe. This way you can get alerts when I put new videos out, like the next video, which will be about hive equalization, which is a very important step in beekeeping that I feel like it gets lost and forgotten about a little bit. So I will be heading to the bees tomorrow, and I will be putting together some footage to get a hive equalization video together for you folks. So please like and subscribe and check out Talking with Cars with Rob. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you real soon.